pastor and I'm an alcoholic.
Yes, sir.
I've asked Jenna to be here tonight because I know she would say yes. But truly, she is probably one of the only sponsees I've ever had that has pretty much always said yes. She's willing to be of service. She's just done absolutely everything necessary to get and stay sober. So I'm really happy that she's here tonight. I'll go ahead and let Jenna come on up.
Excuse me if I cry. My name is Jenna. I'm an alcoholic. My sober date is 12/1/2018. Waterworks. So I do always say yes, and I always say yes because I have people that didn't make it here. I have people that are no longer with us. My friend Erin, that I started out in rehab with, she passed away from this disease. My cousin Tyler, he passed away last year from this disease. And his father had gotten sober, and about 3 months into sobriety, he was killed in the towers. So I have a lot of loss now. I've had a lot of loss my whole life from this disease, and I will do everything in my power to pass along a message of why and how Alcoholics Anonymous works, right? I came here, I was on death's doorstep. I'll backtrack a little bit. I started drinking at a very young age, at about 4. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse as a kid. I'm gonna cry, sorry. I don't know why I'm so emotional today, but I am. I'm a survivor of some severe domestic violence, 2 relationships, and a survivor of gun violence. I'm a survivor of being trafficked on the streets of Everett. I'm a survivor of being involved in some really awful crime families and crime situations. So with that being said, my life led me to some really dark places with this disease. I started out drinking and I ended up with IV drug use on the streets in Everett. I never thought that would be my life. When I got my first DWI when I was 17, I blew .47, and the judge looked at me and said, "How the hell did you even get the door open?" Like, I don't know. That was my normal though. My normal was I was drinking whiskey all the time, and then I would drink a fifth of whiskey, I'd drink a case of beer, I'd do some acid, I'd do some more drugs, I'd get in a car and I'd drive. I was always at the next party. I was always doing whatever anybody else was doing. I actually went through college on cocaine, and alcohol, of course. And I graduated college, and I got pregnant my last year of college, and I had a son. My son is now 23. He also suffers in this disease, and he has not found his way here. And that's another reason why I'm here tonight, because I hope he doesn't have the life that I had, and I hope it doesn't take him as long as it took me, right? So I am 50 now. I have almost 6 years of sobriety. I got here to stay when I was 44. That wasn't my first try at being sober. When I was 17, that didn't count. I didn't have any intention of being sober. But I started going to rehab at 37, I think it was, or 38. I can't actually remember right now because I'm a little nervous. But anyways, I started going to rehab, and I spent 3 years in rehab. And this is, one thing that kept me here in Alcoholics Anonymous. I met a guy in rehab. I don't recommend that. It's not an easy road. That guy stayed sober. I did not. So 2 years of me running and drugging. He could no longer be in my life because I couldn't be the reason why he relapsed, and he had to keep himself safe, right? At 44, I got on this spree after getting out of my last rehab, which was at Hotel California. I got on a spree of about 6 months, and I knew when I was in rehab that I was going to relapse. I had a plan. I sold my car for $6,000 more than it was worth, and I spent that $6,000 on drugs and alcohol, thinking nobody would notice, right? Because I still bought another car. I'm like, no one will know. And it was probably 3 days I was just as bad as I ever was, and worse. And so I did that for a long time. My room, I lived in a 1 little bedroom apartment inside of a house, and I ended up barricading myself in the bathroom for weeks because that was how small my life had gotten. I was paranoid, I was in psychosis, I was not eating, I was a mess, right? And I decided I didn't want to live anymore. And that was pretty common for me. I decided I didn't want to live anymore because I didn't know how to live sober, and I didn't know how to live not sober, right? And so I gave all my stuff to my roommate, and gave her my keys. I'm like, all right, I'm not ever coming back. I'm done. And that was my intention, right? I had a plan. I even had the plan put in action. I have no idea what happened, but I woke up in my bed, and I don't know how I got there, and I don't know what happened, but when I woke up, I had so much in the sense of drugs and alcohol in my room, and I didn't want any of it. I was done. I was blessed to have the want and need to use drugs and alcohol removed from me immediately when I was not even looking for it, right? It just happened. And I believe that is my creator, because um, they knew that I would never get this if I still wanted to use and drink and run and gun and all the stuff. And so that's like one of the biggest blessings for me and the biggest miracle. That is like the miracle for me, right? Like I didn't have a chance without that. And so I woke up and I'm like, holy shit, I don't want to, stick it. I'm sorry, I know it's Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't want to stick a needle in my arm. I don't want to take a swig out the bottle. Like, what's wrong with me? But I knew who to call. I had met a lady in Alcoholics Anonymous prior, and I called her and I got help, and I met her at a meeting, and I went out to dinner and I looked terrible. I had sores all over me. I was like a toothpick. I was a mess. I was paranoid. I couldn't like talk, like so I'm sitting there like this. And these women that I met loved me and held me and hugged me and just kept me going. And we went to this Pine speaker meeting, and I heard a couple of things that connected me even more. And I'm like, okay, this is where I belong. These are my people. And so I kept coming back, right? And I started doing the steps with this woman. And that's not me. Like I'm not someone who's gonna sit down and read a book with another lady and like write out stuff that I did wrong or write out stuff that I'm not gonna do all that stuff, but I did. And then at about 7 months sober, I was gonna die again. I wasn't gonna die from this disease. I was gonna die from another disease called anorexia. And so the people in Alcoholics Anonymous surrounded me. This is a hard one for me. And they convinced me to go get help, and I did. I've been suffering from anorexia since I was like 14. Never been able to get help. But because I was sober, because I did the step work, the people in these rooms directed me to a place that could save my life. And in there, I found out I had complex PTSD. And these were all secondary to each other, like they played off each other. And so once I got sober, all this other stuff started to spiral. But I had this room, right? I had my seat in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I knew that as long as I kept coming here, and as long as I kept working with a sponsor, that it was going to be okay. And even when it wasn't okay, and there were times where it wasn't okay, I still came to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I did what I was asked of, and I did my step work and all the stuff, right? And so at about a year sober, I knew I needed to change sponsors, and that's where I found Sarah. And I met Sarah when I wasn't sober at a meeting where I should have been sober, because I was in a treatment center bringing in a message, and Sarah was telling her story, and I'm like, dude, that was badass, right? And then I forgot about her because I wasn't sober. And so when it came time, like I knew she had some other knowledge in another program, and so I wanted to like combine my work and keep going and going and do it. I will do and continue to seek everything I possibly can for a better understanding of myself and a better understanding of my relationship with God and Creator, so I don't fall over the edge again, right? And so I called Sarah, and we met, and then we started meeting for step work, and my life has changed drastically. One of the biggest blessings of, and I'm sorry to pump up my sponsor here, but one of the biggest blessings of Sarah was she was willing to work with me and my entire medical team. And I have a huge medical team because I have a lot of problems, right? I have a lot of things up here, and I have an eating disorder, and I have like specialists for all these other things like pain and da 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 da. And Sarah was willing to like understand me a little bit more and put a little bit more effort into how we did our step work and how we progressed in this program. And if I hadn't found her in that moment, I don't know what would have happened, because that is exactly what I needed. So there are no mistakes, right? Creator puts people in your life at a certain time for a reason. He was put in my life because I needed something to hold on to. She was put in my life because I needed to stay, right? And so today, I'm sober. What? And my life every day gets better and better and better. And it's definitely not perfect, but I mean, the thing is there's nothing gonna be perfect. We're human, right? We're humans having a spiritual experience in this world, and the only thing that is perfect is love. And that is what these rooms have shown me, is the meaning of love and how to hold compassion, tolerance, and space for others so that they can find their way, right? I have done a lot of work in this program, and I continue to work in this program. I also am in Al-Anon and ACA, because I need the trifecta. I'm one of those people that I need a lot, and I'm also like I have a community from the East Coast to California in Alcoholics Anonymous that I can call or reach out to on a regular basis. Because, like I said, I was in rehab for 3 years, and the first one was in Maryland, the last one was in California. So like it's a big span of people, right? This group of people in Alcoholics Anonymous are my family. They were my family before I was born. I just didn't know it. I used to have this incredible dream when I was a kid, and it was terrifying to me, but it was this dream of these big white marble steps, and the first step was like so gigantic, and at the top was this like this big bright light, right? But I was scared to death of it, and I never realized it until like a little bit recently. Holy shit, that was my first step. Like that first step was my first step in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I guarantee you, if I would have been back at that time, thought to count them, that there would have been 12, right? I was told at a very young age by Dream Power that I was going to be here. The power of love has kept me here, and the power of this program has kept me here. And the fact that we each have an individual message to share that is going to help someone to stay here, right? I never thought when I was on the streets in Everett shooting dope, being trafficked, that I was going to be here today telling you that, right? Like, I never thought that could help someone. I never thought that being abused in a gun violent situation in a home would ever help anybody. I never thought that being an alcoholic, being a heroin addict and a meth addict and a crack addict and an everything addict was going to do anything for any good in this world. Who would think that, right? But the fact is that one alcoholic talking to another is what happens in these rooms, and that's where we hear the message, right? We hear our stories and other people's stories, and I continue on a daily basis when I come to these rooms to hear a little bit more of myself, right? Because I used to think nobody's like me. Like my life has sucked, dude. Like I've had all of these tragic things, and I've had people tell me, most people don't live through one, but you've lived through this, and this, and that's true. But every time I listen to someone's story, I hear what goes on up here and what goes on in here, not what actually happened. Because these are the two things where we relate, right? And we relate on this common solution that's in the first 164 pages of this book, right? We have a fellowship that grows up around us, and we have found that we belong in these rooms, right? Like we are each other's people. I don't really have 3 minutes left, so I'm trying to think what to say right now because I'm like done. But Sober Jenna. Sober Jenna is a functioning person in society, sort of. I have limitations, but I do a lot of stuff. I volunteer with Sarah sometimes. I have gotten my certificates, my master's certificates in Reiki and energy work, and I'm now in a shaman mentorship program. And these are all things that I was interested in when I was a kid, like from like a very young age. But I was never directed to do any of these things because I just wasn't. My family is a long line of alcoholics, and they have their own agenda for everything. That's just the way it is. They did the best they could, and they tried to like steer me towards what they thought was right and good for me. It just wasn't the path that was meant for me. So today, like I do a lot of work in those areas, and a lot of my work involves helping alcoholics in recovery. Right? I don't want to say I'm not like a great sponsor because maybe one day I will be, but I'm a really good friend sponsor, and I'm a really good helping sponsor to other sponsors who are actually sponsoring, if that makes any sense. So what I like to do is like lift people up and help them find their way in these rooms, and I like to sponsor shop for people. So like I like to make like matches, just like I'm a dating site, but that's for sponsors. It's very fun, and it actually works out most of the time. But yeah, so I think that's probably all I got, and I'm starting to end like a minute and 33 seconds early. But what I will leave you with is this. Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life because it showed me love, and it showed me that I was worth it, and it showed me that I have purpose. I stay here because I want to see other people find that, right? I was given a gift of life. I never thought that my life would matter. I never thought I'd care about life. And today, life is the most precious thing. And I don't have all the things back. I don't have a relationship with my son. I barely have a relationship with my blood family. I don't have a lot of my friends from my past. I lost all the belongings, the house, the cars, the the clothes, everything, the jewelry, it was all gone when I got here, and it didn't matter. Like, I had to be stripped of that to be able to find my way. And so I'm extremely grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous, loving me through my worst moments and my best moments, and I will stay here and I will keep my seat and I will continue to earn it every day. So thank you for letting me share a little bit of my story.